Yo, what's going on? Mike from Mike Talk Sports. After starting the season undefeated, the Celtics have just dropped their second straight game in a row after losing to the 76ers 106-103, and Payton Pritchard was absolutely atrocious in this game as he's been all season. In today's episode of Mike Talk Sports, let me explain to you guys why the Celtics have a Payton Pritchard problem and overall why they have arguably the worst bench and the worst depth out of any contending team this year. To me, this all started with the Miami Heat series last year, where I made a video on this channel talking about how the Celtics were absolutely delusional, playing Payton Pritchard over Grant Williams. In this offseason, they continued this delusion by signing Payton Pritchard to a 4-year, $30 million contract while letting Grant Williams walk for virtually nothing. And Payton Pritchard came into the season with a lot of pressure on him, and in the preseason, he absolutely stepped up to the plate and played very well in the preseason. And this brings me to a larger point when I'm painting the picture of the Celtics this season. Payton Pritchard is a prime example of a basketball player who, if he was ever in the G League, he's a guy who would average 25, 8, and 3. You'd go, why isn't he in the NBA? And then you watch him on an NBA court and you go, oh, I completely understand. Now, again, he did play very well in the preseason, and overall, is he a serviceable NBA player to get you 15 minutes a game in the regular season, to get you through the regular season, to be somewhat of that filler player in that filler role? Absolutely. I don't expect Payton Pritchard to be this bad throughout this entire regular season. That's not the point of this video, guys. The point of this video is the playoffs. Once the playoffs reach, Payton Pritchard is outright unplayable, and let me tell you guys why. At 6'1", Payton Pritchard is by far the smallest player out on the court almost every single time he graces an NBA court. And in the playoffs, he's really a matchup nightmare for the Celtics on defense. He's going to absolutely get matchup hunted as he has throughout his entire playoff career in the first 3 years of his playoff career. Again, he's an absolute defensive liability. I always talk about how I love that Grant Williams style of defender where he can guard the one and he can guard the two, so he has nice switchability on the perimeter. Not only that, but he can guard 3 and 4 very well. So he's a very versatile NBA player once the playoffs hit, because once the playoffs hit, it is so switch heavy and it is so matchup dependent, and no team is going to be bullying Grant Williams and the Celtics out there, but they absolutely will and have bullied Payton Pritchard. Again, they're going to be hunting him every single time out on the court, making him unplayable on the defensive side. And then this is where my big gripe comes with Payton Pritchard, because when you're sacrificing defense, you expect this guy to be very good on offense, and this is absolutely not the case with Payton Pritchard. Again, has he shown evidence of being a good three-point shooter in the regular season? Yes, but in the postseason, he absolutely sucks from 3. He's a career 33% shooter from 3 in the playoffs, again, in a 3-year sample size on 11 minutes per game in these 3 years. Again, that's a big enough sample size for me to believe that Payton Pritchard is not a good 3 shooter in the playoffs. And is it that he just chokes and it just falls apart from a mental aspect from 3, and that's why he sees such a dip from the 3-point arc in the playoffs? Absolutely not, in my opinion. When you break down the film and you watch Payton Pritchard in the playoffs, it becomes very evident to why he really struggles in the playoffs offensively. Again, not only is he by far the smallest guy out on the court, but let's break down some of his individual skill sets that really are lacking, and it does start with his ball handle. For a point guard, it is well below average, and once you hit the playoffs, he's not good enough on ball to create his own shot on the perimeter. So again, he's going to be relying on that off-ball movement, and he's going to be relying on that off-ball catch-and-shoot 3 prowess, and that's something Payton Pritchard just is not elite at. He's a below-average guard in the NBA at his off-ball movement. Overall, he just camps in the corner and he just sits in the corner on the playoffs. And in the playoffs, it is so easy to close out on a 6'1" guard just sitting in the corner. So the on-ball creation from Payton Pritchard is an absolute 0 once the playoffs hit, even though, again, running the second unit, he can do some things with the ball in his hand, but once the playoffs hit, he's always going to be sharing a court with Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, Kristaps Porzingis, Drew Holiday. They're not going to want the ball in Payton Pritchard's hand, so again, he's relegated to being an off-ball player, and he's just not a good off-ball player with good off-ball movement. And then looking at his passing ability, again, 1.6 assists per game on 11 minutes per game in the playoffs. He's just not a high-level passer. Now, is he going to interrupt the flow of the offense? No, he's not, but he's not going to be a guy who's going to be creating a significant amount of openings with his passing ability. Again, his passing ability is well below league average for a point guard. And this is where I start to get so concerned about the Celtics and where I really see them struggling in the playoffs. Now, I think you can make an argument they have the most complete, dangerous starting five out of any team in the entire NBA. I wouldn't mind if you had that opinion, but this bench is just embarrassingly bad. Again, in the playoffs, you're going to be relying on Payton, Pritchard, and Sam Hauser getting significant minutes for you. Guys who have gotten DNPs throughout their entire career, now being relied upon to be the 6th, 7th, and 8th man on the team, along with Al Horford, Luke Cornett as well. All of those guys, those 4 guys I just named, are absolute defensive liabilities. Al Horford is absolutely washed on the defensive end. If he gets put in any action in the pick and roll, he's going to get picked apart. Same with Luke Cornett. They are not laterally quick enough to keep up with anyone on the perimeter, and their play strength in the post is honestly overrated in my opinion as well. I've already touched upon Payton Pritchard and why he's such a liability on the defensive side. And then Sam Hauser. Sam Hauser played very well last night, but Sam Hauser's game is 100% predicated on shooting the 3. If the 3-point game is not there, I completely understand. He has some nice cuts to the basket sometimes to get him an easy 2, but overall, if Sam Hauser isn't absolutely on fire from 3, he's useless out there. His defense sucks as well. He's just not laterally quick enough to be a good defender, especially in the playoffs. So honestly, in my opinion, guys, the Celtics come up short this year in the playoffs. Again, I think Payton Pritchard is probably going to bounce back. He's going to have a fine regular season. Same with Sam Hauser, same with Luke Cornett, same with Al Horford. But once it gets to the playoffs, these 4 guys are going to be complete liabilities in the playoffs for the Celtics for reasons I've named in this video. And overall, again, the Celtics have a Payton Pritchard problem. And overall, more importantly than that, they have a lack of depth problem and they have a bench problem. Thanks for watching today's episode of Mike Talk Sports. Let me know in the comment section below, do you agree with my take that it is pure delusion from the Celtics picking Payton Pritchard time and time again over Grant Williams, a guy who is already in contention for most improved player of the year this year, something a lot of NBA fans, including myself on this channel, have seen coming for years now. Again, thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, smack that like and hit subscribe.